Um, Hello, good afternoon, everyone. It's nice to see so many of you today at our meeting, online meeting. Business as usual. So a little bit about business English idioms. I hope that everything is okay. Thank you, Maciek, for checking the equipment. If anything comes up, if you can't hear me, please let me know in the chat box window. Right, so off we go. It's nice to see so many of you gathered at our meeting this afternoon. And as the title suggests, we will have a very brief overview of business English idioms. A lot of my students ask me these days how to learn idioms. What is the best possible way of getting the knowledge of expressions which are far away from their original meaning? Well, from my teacher's perspective, from my teacher's experience, one or two things I can tell you is that definitely the key to the effective learning of idioms is organization. So first, we have to organize idioms according to some kind of a key. I propose, and this is the idea of today's meeting, to organize idioms by at least three categories. The first one is subject. So, for example, today we'll talk about business idioms. So I will show you some examples of idioms which are related directly to the subject of business. The other key for organizing this knowledge, this language, lexical knowledge, is to organize idioms by the metaphors. So the expressions which are far away from their original meaning, which give us a metaphor of what we want to say. And of course, we can use these metaphors in business. And the last key is the keyword. So we can learn idioms by grouping them around, for example, colors or some verbs or some objects. I'll show you that in the last third part of our meeting. Another piece of advice which I can, if you don't mind, to give you is that it's not advisable to translate idioms because idioms are not translatable, if you know what I mean. We have the same situation in our mother tongue, in Polish language, that sometimes we say things which are difficult to translate into other languages because they are very unique in their specific meaning. Right, and now, the last one, always put them in context. So in today's meeting, I'll show you how to organize them. I'll keep reminding you that there is no point in translating them into Polish because direct translation sometimes gives funny effect. And I'll show you that when you learn, always putting in the context gives you the guarantee that the idiom stays in your deep memory. Right, so let's look how we can learn idioms, group them according to the subject. The subject of today's meeting is business, so I decided to take a few idioms altogether, which I grouped in the subject of business. Well, somebody is asking me in the chat box, today I'll give you around 50, 50, different idioms, and all materials with explanations, with examples will be sent to you after the webinar, as usual. Right, so off we go. The title of today's session is Business as Usual, and this is also our first idiom. You say this when, after kind of unpleasant, unexpected event, something goes back to the normal way, to the normal continuing routine, in spite of all difficulties. So this is a kind of a relief. Oof, business as usual, meaning bad times are over and things are getting as usual. Here you can see the example. It was business as usual at the supermarket, even when they had something unpleasant, which was the holdup. Right, next one. Business is business. This is the way of saying that in financial and commercial matters, in the world of business, friendship or personal feelings should be not allowed to have any influence. So look at the example. I'll hire your brother only if he is the best candidate. I'm sorry, but business is business. All right. If we are in the world of business, very often we have to clinch a deal. What does it mean? It means that in a business relationship, you reach agreement, right? On a proposal or on an offer. In other words, you complete a deal, right? So Paul's final argument enabled us to clinch a deal. Right, let's move on. What happens if we corner the market? Cornering the market means domination. So the company dominating the market, dominating the area of business, the company which leaves no room for competitors, for other companies, is very often said to corner or to have cornered the market. So, for example, you can read it on the screen that by importing large quantities and selling at very low prices, somebody or they have cornered the market. Okay, this slide, I'm sure it will evoke some smile on your faces because creative accounting is quite a hot subject recently. Yes, creative accounting, the term referring to presentation of company results in this way that although it's generally legal, it gives a little bit false and wrong impression to the business world, and in this way you try to avoid some kind of looking deeply into your problems. So you're glossing over the problems and you make the results appear better than they really are. The example shows the practical contextual usage of this phrase. Okay. If things go wrong, the companies go out of business. So if a shop, could be a firm or enterprise, goes out of business, it means that it closes down, or, if it comes to the worst, it goes bankrupt. So, for example, if we build a new road, a new bypass around the town, then it may cause some problems for the trading in the city. And a lot of companies could go or will go out of business. For example, shops. Right, so the word business was a subject. So these few idioms were grouped around this very specific word, business, and practically in each of them you had a direct reference to the business world. But the biggest group of idioms are idioms which are grouped around the metaphor. So we will see them in a minute. But before we move on, I would like to ask you the following thing. Let's imagine such a situation when some company dominates some area or field of business and leaves no room for other competitors, right? Yes, it is monopoly, definitely. But could you remember one of the idioms I showed you just a few minutes ago? What idiom would you use to make a comment? Yeah, corner the market. Thank you very much. Yeah, we're getting a lot of answers. Elżbieta, Beata, Agnieszka. Yes, a lot of answers which are correct. What you do, yes, you say they have cornered the market. So they monopolized the area of business. Okay, so that was, a little test to wake you up and check whether you're with me. Oh, right, let's move on to the next group, as I introduced it a minute ago, to the group of idioms which are grouped or gathered around the metaphor, so saying which gives extra meaning to them. Cutthroat business. Cutthroat business means a cruel business, right? Some of you may argue, oh, Eva, why didn't you put this word into this category of idioms which we can learn by putting them in the subject group? Well, it's up to you. You can put it in the subject group because it contains the word business. But for me, cutting throat is a metaphor. Yeah, because normally we don't cut throats in business. It's metaphorical use, but it means cruel business, very, very competitive. And of course, the example shows the context for that. Because of fierce competition, we live these days. We live in the cutthroat business environment. Okay. Ace up your sleeve. We have very similar idiom and saying in Polish. By the way, you will find quite a lot of idioms during this session which have almost the same equivalents in our mother tongue. Okay, so ace up your sleeve. So if you have this ace up your sleeve, it means that you have something in reserve, right? Something with which you can gain or you can have advantage over, for example, your business partners, right? So it's confidential, but our new product is an ace up our sleeve. If we go along this metaphor of playing cards, hold all the aces gives you the impression of what? Of the total control. Exactly. So a person or a company who holds all the aces is in a very, very strong position because they have more advantages than anyone else. Right? So the example tells us what is the situation on the job market. We have high unemployment rate, maybe now moderate, but this is the employer market at the moment. So we can say that employers hold all the aces. Okay. In business, if we want to send up a trial balloon, we have some idea, but we want to have it tried, for example, on the market, on the focus group. This is a term used very often in marketing. So we have an idea of a product or service. We have a project, and we want to see how people would respond to it. So what we do, we send up a trial balloon. Okay. So the example tells you that the idea seemed excellent, but when they sent up a trial balloon, the reaction was very negative. So probably they had to revise the idea of the product of the company. If we think about metaphors, definitely on everyday basis, we don't hold the forts. We are not in the position of the soldiers from the picture, right? But to hold the fort means that you look after a place, or you look after business, or you look after the office in the absence of other people who on everyday basis are responsible for this, or they are in charge. This gentleman goes out for lunch, so he asks his colleague Rosie, could you hold the fort please while I'm out for lunch, or while I'm just away or out of the company. A cog in the machine. Well, this is quite, I would say, quite negative statement, because it means that we are only a small part in the big system. Moreover, a part which doesn't have big influence on the system. So we play only small part in an organization or in some project or plan. So, for example, Philip quickly realized that in the bank, he was just a cog in the machine. All right. Do the spade work. This is a kind of meaningful situation. A lot of people looking and one person doing something real. Spade is the tool which is in the hands of this gentleman. But we use this expression when somebody does the preparatory work or some preliminary research, and then others take over the job. Sometimes it has this a little bit negative aspect, because we do this paid work and other people get credits for that, like here in the example. Looks like Polish, doesn't it? roll up your sleeves, exactly the same context in English, right? So you roll up your sleeves, you get ready for work, which usually is hard work. So the project was in a mess, and probably all people in the company had to, or all people in the department, they had to roll up their sleeves and start working. Okay. Well, I was smiling when I decided to choose this idiom because blamestorming is a kind of new expression. Of course, it comes from brainstorming. Why was I smiling? Can you guess? Yes, I was smiling because of the last elections in Poland. Now we have a lot of storming in political parties. So you can imagine that what people do, they discuss among their groups, political groups, who or what is to blame for a particular mistake, failure. This is blame storming. So the example I give you is not from the world of business, it's from the world of politics. But I think that by this you probably will remember it better. So a lot of blame storming in political parties. All right. Business angel. Again, somebody may ask you, okay, Eva, in this idiom we have the word business. Why didn't you put it in the category of subject idioms? Well, as I said, it's up to you. You can categorize it as a business idiom and learn it according to the business subject, or you can think about the metaphor, because do we believe in angels? I think some of us do, but I don't think we meet them very often in business. We rather meet a lot of devils. But this is an investor, right? This is a person, very often an individual with huge capital. A person who provides this capital for some kind of startups. Usually it's done in exchange for some kind of ownership or shares in the company. So angel is a kind of, individual enterprise to help business, right? So if the company is in big trouble, the only way to avoid bankruptcy is to find some business angels who will help the venture. Now, quite longish saying, if you make hay while the sun shines, means that you prepare everything before kind of a crisis, a possible crisis can come over. So you're preparing for the hard times. In everyday situation, you can use it in a phrase like this: I've got a few hours to finish the report before my boss comes back. So in a sense, this person makes hay while the sun shines. So this person has free time and can prepare for the arrival of the boss, who would probably ask about this report. Well, those of you who are at my seminar not for the first time know that my webinar without James Bond wouldn't be the same. I also had to include a little element, also given the fact that next Friday we've got the prime show of the newest 26th, I believe, James Bond film. Hence this picture, please forgive me. Drastic times call for drastic measures. So when we face quite difficult or extreme situation, sometimes it's necessary to take actions which in normal circumstances we wouldn't undertake. In other circumstances, they would appear extreme. Right? So after financial crisis, we had to reduce our costs or costs of the company dramatically, significantly. And then we can use this phrase, drastic times call for drastic measures. Okay. In the picture, you can see the pipeline. So definitely this is a metaphor, because if we say that the project is in the pipeline or the budget is in the pipeline, it's a strong metaphor, because it really means that it's currently in progress or is being organized, being processed, discussed, etc. Right? So a new version of the budget, of the company budget, is in the pipeline at the moment. All right. Pipelines usually contain liquids, so let's look at some water idioms. What happens if we boil the ocean? Boiling the ocean means wasting time on some tasks, projects which are really not necessary, not significant, not relevant. They are not worth doing and really impossible to achieve. So, in other words, to boil the ocean means to waste time on unnecessary business activities. Okay, so I expect you to do the job well, but don't try to boil the ocean. The opposite of that is the idiom connected with smooth waters. Smooth water is the period in the life of the company when everything goes well, there are no problems, we are on the safe ground, and we can sail as the enterprise, as the business, as the organization, with some optimism because we're on smooth waters. Okay? So our company seems to be in smooth waters these days. Means that you're in a good condition as the organization. Nobody is going to break your back, but if you work extremely hard, if you put too much effort in achieving your goals, you break your back. So it means you work too hard. It's above your possibilities, yeah, physical, mental, psychological. So if you want the job done well or to be done well, you should really pay more to your employees because they are not going to break their backs at such low prices. Okay? Start the ball rolling. What happens if we start the ball rolling? We just start some action. We give impact for beginning of anything. Could be a meeting, presentation, discussion, I don't know, running a restaurant, everything which starts in the dynamic, controlled way can be introduced by this idiom. Yes? So let's start the ball rolling by calling on our first speaker or the main speaker. Okay, if you recognize these little nice insects, they are bees, and the place where they live is called beehive. So generally, hive is a place of living of bees, and we know that bees are very busy animals. So the place, which is called this way in metaphorical sense, is a very busy place, yeah, full of noise, full of activities. So a lot of things are happening. Everyone is busy, hectic time and hectic place. So when I went to offer help, we noticed, or I noticed that the office was very busy because people were in the hive of activity. Okay, nobody likes this. Nobody likes moving the goalposts. So changing conditions in the course of action. So if somebody changes the rules, either externally or internally, we can say, oh, please stop moving the goalposts. Right? So we have objectives which are set for the next year, and we hope that our boss or our bosses don't, or she doesn't move the goalposts halfway through the project or halfway through the task. Those of you who work in the field of sales know this expression, to make cold calls, to make a call to potential customers from the list of clients and people whom you don't know. For salespeople, probably this is the most difficult and most frustrating part of their job, because very often these calls are rejected. Okay, in the old times, people used to use telephone directories, and this is the memory of one of them, the person who had to make these cold calls using the directory. Oh yeah, deep end. How often we face this situation that we're at the deep end, and we have to go in this situation. So when we give somebody a difficult job to do, or when we are given a difficult job to do, or there is a serious problem to deal with, but we don't have the knowledge or experience, then we can say that we are thrown in at the deep end, right? So our manager thinks the best way to get people to job, to introduce new people to job, some new arrivals, is to throw them in at the deep end and then see how they go, how they manage, and decide whether they should stay or not. Dead wood. Wojciech, the answer to your question is yes. I can't say it in Polish. Yeah, it's like throwing into deep water. Dead wood. This term, as you can see, it's not a pleasant idiom. It refers to people or objects, objects in the company, which are considered not useful, not necessary anymore. So dead wood is something which should go, right? So one way of reducing costs in organizations is cutting out the dead wood, either by reducing the equipment or, unfortunately, by reducing human resources. I hope you can see that clearly in the picture, in the slide. These money banknotes, which are, put into the drain. Down the drain situation is when we want to say that, for example, money, but also time or our energy or our hopes have gone down the drain, right? So something was wasted, something was lost. Like in the example, the years of research, they went down the drain. Why? Because the company went bankrupt. Okay, I'm sure that a lot of you, I think all of us use internet, use computers to buy, to book, to arrange things. So bricks and mortar versus bricks and clicks, these are two ways of saying what is the channel of buying things, right? So if we have an established trading company, could be office or a shop, it is usually referred to as brick and mortar or bricks and mortar business. On the other side, we have click companies. So the companies which trade only on internet, only electronically. But we have also a combination. We have bricks and clicks. For example, Zara shop is brick and click shop. So it means that you can go to one of those shopping centers and buy a dress or a jacket or a pair of shoes, but you can do it also on internet. Okay, this is a common belief that click businesses are usually more flexible than brick and mortar operations, although, as you know from your experience, doesn't have to be always like that. Okay, I like this one. Rings a bell. Too many chiefs, not enough Indians. The word chief is a false friend for us Polish speakers because it doesn't mean really the boss. It means head of the tribe. So we use this idiom when we want to say that there are a lot of people to manage, but not enough people to do the actual work. So, for example, like here, the business wasn't successful because there were too many chiefs and not enough Indians. So giving instructions, requiring, demanding, but not enough people to do the job. Okay. Rings a bell? To grease someone's palm? We have practically the same idiom in Polish. When we want to say, or when we want to accuse someone of greasing someone's palm, we are saying that probably this person gave money to someone else. This person bribed somebody else in order to gain some benefits, some unfair advantage, or wants to obtain something they want. So depending on the culture, but there are some countries, some cultures where this is a common practice and nobody thinks it's illegal. So if you want to achieve something, you have to grease, for example, government officials' palms. Okay, a group of politicians, very influential politicians. You can recognize familiar faces, movers and shakers. This idiom refers to people who are in power and people who take very active part in making things happen. Definitely, Angela Merkel is a mover and shaker. Yeah, so here they are assembling in Brussels for the summit. So the most influential people who kind of move and shake the world. I say the world because there is Obama. Right, let's get something off the ground. When you do it, when you get something off, please pay attention to this little word off, double F, off the ground. You put it into action, you put it into operation after having organized it. Okay, so after a lot of hard work, we finally got our campaign or the campaign or company campaign off the ground. Funny enough, because in Polish we have completely different, rather opposite expression connected to desert and selling sand. In English, we sell ice to Eskimos. So when we talk about especially a uniquely talented salesperson with absolutely unique ability to persuade somebody to buy something or to accept some kind of goods, we say that he or she can sell ice to Eskimos. And this kind of people are usually named salesman of the year, right? So extremely talented sales reps. Again, rings the bell. The same meaning, the same usage in Polish, foot in the door. Of course, it means the same like in our language, that we have small but quite significant and quite successful start in something which possibly in the future will give better perspectives and better income. The example I choose for you is maybe not connected with money, but with the career. So it is difficult in today's world. It's difficult to put a foot in the door, to get a foot in the door, to place a foot in the door in any profession. We're living in a very quick way. The pace of life is very fast, like these flying objects, and a lot of people can't stand the pace, meaning that for them everything is too quick, too stressful, too much pressure. And this is rather not an idiom. I would say it's a saying, it's an expression, but again, can be easily used in this business context in which we are today during this meeting, right? So for somebody who has worked or who worked for famous fashion designer, it's definitely true. It's difficult to stand the pace of such work. A bit funny picture, but I think that if we have ladies and gentlemen who cook, you know that copper bottomed, copper is this material at the bottom of this pan. Copper bottom pans are very safe because you won't burn anything in it. And surprisingly enough, this expression went into business language, and it's describing something. For example, it can be a plan, it can be a contract, it also can be a final agreement. And if we describe it as a copper bottomed, we mean that it's very safe, very reliable. It can be a client, yes. So in the example, somebody signed a copper-bottomed agreement with a distributor. It means that this distributor is trustworthy, that this is a good, reliable contract. Learning the ropes. If we do it, if we learn the ropes, we learn how to do a particular job or particular task correctly. So imagine that we employ a young person, and after a few days we can say, oh, he's a small kid. It won't take him long to learn the ropes. In other words, to understand the job. Right, it's time to get back together, to interact. Do you remember any idiom which you can use for the following situation? We put something into operation, we put some effort into organizing it, and what we did or what we do, we get it out of the ground, or we get it off the ground, or get it on the ground. Yeah, that was easy. Yeah, the correct answer is yes, B. We get it off the ground, or we got it off the ground last week. We started. So B. Very good. All of you, a lot of answers. Thank you for that. All of you got it right. To get off means to start. Okay. Thank you very much for this cooperation over this little test. And we are moving to the last category of idioms, or the last category in which we can learn idioms. That probably is better to say. So categorizing through keywords. These keywords can be different. For example, it can be a color. Yeah, so we can group idioms. There are hundreds of them in English, so we can group them according to colors. And this is the example, black market, right? We know that black market is something illegal. This is illegal buying and selling of what? Of goods, but also of currencies. Yes, change money, change money. So we have to be careful because sometimes we can come across some fake products. So we have the color black. All right, let's go along this line. When we're in the black, it means that we have some kind of financial, I'm sorry, that we are in a good financial situation. Sorry, I was already at the next slide. That we are in a very good financial situation. That if you look at the bank statements, usually they are in black if you have money on your account, right? So fortunately, this company is in the black, and this company hopes to have some money, to spend some money on extra staff training. The opposite of that, this is what I started with, is not reference to the color, but also learning through opposition. Yeah, so we're in the black, we have money. We're in the red, meaning we don't have money, because if we are in the red, if we have a debt on our account, it would appear either on paper or on the screen in red. And for example, state government has been operating in the red for the past 5 years. It means that there was some kind of deficit and the country, the state, didn't have money. If we keep to this color concept, let's go along. Okay, so we were in the red tape. Red tape refers, this term refers to quite strict official rules, some kind of bureaucratic paperwork, which altogether prevents us from having things done. Yeah, so this is this bureaucratic machine which depresses us and frustrates us. And if there wasn't so much red tape, probably the situation in the company would be much better. The company would start operating. Okay, so let's change the color, but again, let's stay in the same category, blue chip company. Used even in Polish, blue chips are the most spectacular, the most reputable companies on stock exchange, and very solid reputation, high quality of products, and of course stability in growth. So it's usually safe to invest in a blue chip companies. If we think about colors, let's look at some nice color, which is gold and golden. A golden handshake, very generous package, very often sum of money, which is given to a person leaving the company. Very often golden handshakes are given to top executives, top managers, members of board. The similar meaning, slightly different phrase, golden parachute. So again, this is a kind of a clause that a lot of executives have got in their job contract, which states that this executive will receive certain large benefits, not only money, but other benefits if their employment is terminated, right? So here in the example, after the merger, a lot of executives decided to use this offer of golden parachute. Again, the word golden, leads us to another idiom, golden opportunity. So very favorable time or even excellent occasion, yes, which we shouldn't miss. So if we have an offer of internship in some reputable company, let's go for it, because it could be a golden opportunity for us. Let's change the color. Who is a white knight in business? It's a very romantic concept, but somehow it was accepted in the business world. And this term is very often used when we think about some kind of friendly investor, an investor who acquires a corporation or organization in a friendly way, right? So in this way, we are preventing ourselves from takeover by black knight, and this kind of takeover is called hostile takeover. So if we want to be taken over, let's look for the white knight, right? So white knights are saving our business life. And now no color, because blank means with no color means empty. A blank check, like in Polish, if we give a blank check to somebody, we authorize this person to do what? To do everything what they think is the best in the situation. So we give them, in Polish we often say carte blanche, so do what you want because I trust you, right? So here Tom was given a blank check because he had a trust of his bosses that during negotiations he would possibly negotiate the best deal, right? Another thing that you can use as a kind of core is not color, but part of the body. Hand. A lot of business idioms are connected with hands. So, for example, upper hand. If we gain the upper hand, especially in competition with other companies, it means that we take control over others, right? So we are on the top. Yeah. So here we increased our market share and we gained something which is upper hand over our competitors. If we talk about hands, if we decide to learn by this keyword hand, we can also learn another idiom, all hands on the deck. The same idiom in Polish, the situation when everyone must help. Yeah, especially in the period when there is a lot of work, which should be done in a very short amount of time. So all hands on the deck. Here in the example, the opening is approaching, so all of us have to help. Okay, one more with the hand. If we have our hands tied, of course, we have some kind of rules, restrictions, regulations, which prevent us, which stop us from doing something which really deep at heart we would like to do. Very often it refers to, sorry, it refers to payments. Yeah, the managers want to reward their employees with some extra bonus, but they can't, right? Because there are some new salary agreements, like in the example. Okay, so let's leave parts of the body and let's go to animals, because animals also can constitute some kind of a key vocabulary around which we can build up our lexical, idiomatic resources. Monkey business. Monkey business, again, kind of fishy, unpleasant kind of idiom. This is an activity in which we plan from the very beginning. We plan to do something bad, something dishonest. So if somebody starts the business with some bad intentions, we can say that there is some monkey business going on, right? So we don't trust these people, we don't trust the organization, we don't trust intentions. So there is some monkey business, there is something fishy. Another animal that can somehow in our mind be remembered more thoroughly is this one. This is a beaver, actually. This is this animal, eager beaver. This is what we say when we want to refer to a person who is hardworking. Yeah, in a sense, kind of workaholic, but also enthusiastic, very keen, like beavers are. So here in the example, a new accountant is this kind of a person. Yeah, he's a real eager beaver. Okay. Another animal that came to my mind when I was thinking about business idioms built around the concept of an animal is ostrich. Ostrich is this bird, Australian bird, which puts its head into the sand while in some stressful situation, right? So somebody who adopts this kind of strategy, ostrich strategy, ignores problems, tries to avoid these problems, hoping, I think, thinking that they will somehow disappear. Okay, so the example shows you how to use it in the context. Okay, a cash cow. So this is like, I think we say milk cow, yeah, don't we? This is a product or possibly a service, which is an absolute regular source of income for any company or organization. And this is a cash cow, right? So from this particular activity or from this particular client, we get majority of our income, therefore profits. Okay, so in the case of the example, yeah, Łukasz, you're right. This is the very good translation. It's about the hen which gives golden eggs. I'm doing what I told you not to do. I'm translating a Polish idiom into English, but this is what Łukasz wrote, and I think this is the precise way of putting it to the correspondence with Polish language. And donkey work. This is the last one, the last idiom. You recognize this figure from Shrek films. Donkey work is the work which is done in repetitive, routine way, and we know that it doesn't make sense, but we have to do it, or we know that the results will be not achievable, but our boss tells us to do it, so we know that this is waste of time and effort. So I do the donkey work, but my boss gets the credit. Okay, this is the last one which I prepared for you. As I said before, all idioms with explanations and examples will come to you in the Word document. But before we part, I would like you to do the final little test. From this last part connected with the choosing a keyword in order to build around it a set of your favorite business idioms. Do you remember any with a keyword? Any idiom with an animal? Any idiom with a color? Any idiom with a part of the body? So keywords. Yeah, Elżbieta, cash cow. Yes, that's nice. I'm not saying this is the last one and it's easy, but it's a nice one. Justyna, monkey business. Elżbieta, in the black. Michał, donkey work. Grażyna as well. Michał, black market. Lydia, blue chip company. Małgorzata, black market. Sylvester in the black. Good, great. Tomek, golden handshake. Fantastic. Beata, golden opportunity. Michał, all hands on board. Magda, eager beaver. Piotr, all hands on board. Grażyna, black market. Yes, Justyna, all hands on board. Konrad, upper hands, fantastic. So I'm happy because that means that you were listening to what I was saying to you. It was a great pleasure to host you this afternoon. The time usually goes very fast when I'm giving these webinars, so unfortunately it's time to say goodbye. Thank you very much for attendance and for listening to us. Goodbye to everyone. Hope to see you soon on one of my next webinars. Maciek, would you like to say something? Okay, so I'm saying final bye, and I'm giving my headphones to Maciek, who has got some final announcement.
Dziękuję, Ewo. Państwu dziękuję bardzo za udział w naszym webinarium. To już będzie koniec naszego spotkania i ja chciałem jeszcze tylko powiedzieć, że na początku przyszłego tygodnia, prawdopodobnie w poniedziałek lub wtorek, wyślemy do Państwa film z nagraniem dzisiejszego webinarium. Tych idiomów było całkiem sporo, więc warto by było sobie je odświeżyć, również móc obejrzeć je jeszcze raz. Wyślemy również do Państwa taki PDF razem ze słownictwem, więc mogą się Państwo spodziewać kontaktu od nas całkiem niedługo. Zapraszamy na kolejne webinaria, wyślemy do Państwa zaproszenia na nie na początku przyszłego tygodnia albo na końcu. Zobaczymy jeszcze, jak uda nam się zorganizować je. Tak więc serdecznie zapraszamy na kolejne webinaria i mogą się Państwo spodziewać od nas niedługo materiałów.